What do you hear? What do you say? This is VERTiiGO bringing you another video, and today I want to talk about Rust. Now, this is a format that I do every now and again. It's not my main format of video. I am a gameplay YouTuber, but every now and again I like to, just sit back and talk about the game of Rust and other subjects as well. But Rust is such an important part of my YouTube history that I like to, every now and again, sit down, look where the game is at, and just voice my opinion. And as you all know, well, I hope most of you know, if you don't, Rust is now out of early access. It's been officially released, which is awesome to see. Now, I haven't been playing Rust all that long in the scheme of things. My first time playing it was in 2015, when the new Rust came around. I didn't play Legacy Rust. I have played it before, but I wasn't playing it back when it was the main game. So it's really exciting to see the game finally leave that early access. But as cool as that is, that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is a review, which, quite honestly, trashed the game. And not surprisingly, this caused a little bit of backlash. I think we all know just how outspoken and passionate the Rust community is. So I wasn't surprised when I went onto Twitter and saw a lot of comments, a lot of tweets about this review from fans of the game to content creators who have been covering the game for years. And I can't really blame them. I mean, they gave it a 3 out of 10, which is a horrible, horrible review. For those of you that want to read the review in all its glory, I will leave a link down in the description. But I'm going to go over some of the points that this reviewer made of the game of Rust and share my thoughts and opinions both on the review and the game itself. I guess you could say this is a review of a review. We're just going to get to the bottom of this and just flesh out my personal thoughts. Again, these are my thoughts, so please, if you can, keep an open mind. Everyone's entitled to opinion, and of course, you are also, and I would love to hear people's opinions after the video is done down below in the comments section. Now, before we get into the meat of the review itself, the reviewer put some good points and bad points about the game. So let's just read them out. The good. The isle itself is sometimes beautiful and inviting to look at. And that's it. That's all that's in the good category. Sorry, Rust. The bad. Survival mechanics feel dated and dull. Core loop rewards nothing but the time you spend with it. Crafting is unrewarding, is buried under layers of menus and doesn't entice creativity. Progression is tedious and can be stripped away at any given time. Technical issues and horrible character models. Now, in my opinion, there's a lot more good points about Rust than is listed in this review. But looking at the bad, although I don't completely agree with it, I do sort of see where he's coming from. Now, don't jump down my throat right away. I'm not saying Rust is a bad game or a 3 out of 10. But we got to keep something in mind. This reviewer only played Rust for 30 hours. So we got to look at Rust through the eyes of a noob, or somebody that's never played the game before. And there's other variables too. Which server did he play on? What day of the wipe was it? Did he start on the fresh wipe day, or did he play mid-wipe? If he built, where did he build? Did he build next to a clan or a large group? It's easy to get upset with this guy and say, well, he should have put more hours into the game. But I'm not sure if that would have helped, because Rust is such a tricky beast, and a very unique one at that. In fact, I'd say that Rust is probably one of the hardest games to review, because on a wipe-to-wipe basis, your experience could be completely different. I know we've all had moments in Rust where we have just, thrown the mouse down and said, fuck this, I'm not playing this game anymore. And then there's wipes where everything just goes really well and it's just the funnest game you could ever play. So right off the bat, it's very hard to fault someone that hasn't played the game before, that doesn't really know what they're doing. But in saying that, there is a particular point in this review where I just scratch my head. And even putting into consideration all that I just said, I don't understand how this reviewer had so much problems with the crafting, building, and the menu. He states pretty much that the crafting menu and the building is just confusing, it's buried under layers and layers of menus, and it's just not rewarding. Now, I've played a lot of survival games from Ark to Citadel, to Conan, 7 Days to Die, Miscreated. All these games are similar because they have survival aspects, and they all have base building. And in my opinion, to this day, Rust has hands down the best building and crafting of any survival game. Is it perfect? No. But it's very far from being confusing and unrewarding. Anyone that's played a game like Ark or Conan and experienced crafting every individual wall would know how much of a nightmare the building is. Where in Rust, you just get out a blueprint, boom, 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 you got a foundation down, and you're done. So I don't understand how he struggled so much in that aspect. Even with only 30 hours, I could understand maybe not understanding or getting the hang of the combat or, the component system or any of that. I can understand that, but the menu and the building, I can't really, bring my head around to understanding that. I don't agree with that statement whatsoever. But there are a few points here that are legit. He says that the survival aspect of the game is a farce. I don't know if I would 100% call the survival aspects in Rust a farce, but I'd be lying if I said that I didn't see why he would say that, and quite honestly, I share a similar feeling. And what he's pretty much saying is it's not really a true survival game, and I think all of us can kind of agree that it's not really. Yes, it has survival elements, but let's be honest, the goal of the game isn't really survival. The goal of the game is to get loot in order to have enough loot to get more loot. It's a loot hoarding game, PvP, raiding game, with, a little bit of survival flavor sprinkled in, but it's not a survival game. So to that point, I can kind of agree. But is that really a negative? Not really. It depends where you look at it and how you personally, want to play the game of Rust. I know for me, I would love for the game to be more survival orientated, but it just isn't. It hasn't eventuated that way. So I think the problem lies more towards the expectation of this being a survival game when it really isn't. Another point that he makes is that progression is tedious and you can lose anything at any moment, which quite honestly is the bread and butter of Rust. What makes Rust Rust is the brutality of the game. And for a lot of people, without that, it just wouldn't be the game that they love. But his next point, I feel, is the big one. It's the key to a lot of the problems with Rust and why I feel like this won't be the last negative review for the game. He goes on to say that the game rewards those who put the most time into it first, giving them the boots to step on the ants that are any other players that might dare join a server after the wipe. And that is the Achilles heel of Rust. Let's say I wanted to play DayZ today. All I'd have to do is turn the game on, log on, and play. If I want to play Miscreated, I just turn the game on and play. But with Rust, I got to play on a specific day at a specific time to stand any kind of chance and have myself a decent time. Now for us more experienced Rust players, we just know when to play Rust. We know that the wipe's coming on a Thursday, and we got to get up at a certain time or afternoon, wherever you may be in the world, to get on the server. But not everyone knows that. Imagine you've never played Rust, and it's a Tuesday, it's already been days into the wipe, and you don't know this. You're looking for a new survival game to play. You want to play a survival game. You're a big fan of the genre. And Rust just came out on the market, so you know what? Let's play Rust. You download the game, you find a server, you want to find a populated server because you want to run into people, and you join maybe Rustralasia or Rustopia, somewhere that has 100 plus people. You log on, and people are running around with AKs, killing you. You can't build a base because as soon as you gather enough materials, someone that has a bunch of gear kills you. After a while, it's going to get annoying and frustrating, and you're going to quit. Now, whose fault is that? Is it the new player's fault for not knowing that he has to play at a certain time on a certain day in order to be on a level playing field? Or is it the game's fault? I don't know. But what I do know is Rust is not a 3 out of 10 game. It's a much better game than that. It's a deeper game than that. But there are valid points here. I would like to see Rust have more survival elements in it. I think that ship has sailed. That's a topic for a different time. I could go on and on as to what I'd like to see in the game and why I think the game is where it's at. I'd like to see more survival aspects, but I think that ship has sailed. And the wipe system, of course. I remember playing 2015, and I remember people telling me, eventually in a couple years, it's going to be a wipe every 3 to 4 months. I remember hearing that back then, and that just hasn't happened. I think the player base that play the game now are just so used to the weekly wipe format that it's going to be very hard to shake that. So I think we're going to see a weekly wipe system for the foreseeable future. Again, I think that ship also might have sailed. So all in all, it's an interesting review. It's an interesting read. Seeing someone that hasn't played the game that only has 30 hours, seeing their opinion of it is quite interesting. The review is definitely flawed. When it comes to reviews, I don't think anyone should really rely on any one reviewer or any one website. Definitely, if you're new to the game and you're looking at this video, I would, look at multiple reviews, get a broader perspective of what you're going to be spending your money on. And of course, let me know down below your thoughts. Read the review and let me know down below what you think of it. Do you think there's valid points there? Are there things of the game that you'd like to change or see tweaked? Put it all down below. I love reading that stuff because I think Rust is a very interesting game where there's so many different opinions and so many different experiences because there's so many different ways you can play it. So let me know down below. But until then, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, thank you so much. May the Force be with you always.